It is I.
All right. All right, Rome. So, you know what? Thank you for being part of this interview.
Thank you for having me,
And
man.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So, tell the audience about yourself, man.
So, I am born and raised in New York. Bronx to be specific. Uh, the Big 30. Just everyday guy. Chill and mellow. But I'm also really good at rapping. So there's that. Um,
Facts, facts.
appreciate that. Um, yeah,
All right,
I
man.
guess that will sum it up. I'm pretty easygoing. Very opinionated, but also reserved. So I think that comes out in my
Nice,
music a
nice.
little bit.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, there have been a couple of the disses that I've heard, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh. Well, all right, man. So, everyone has their story, of how they first started rapping or freestyling.
Mhm.
Um, tell me about yours.
So I was always I was always pretty good at writing, just not even necessarily like write poetry or music. I did do poetry in school whenever we had to, and it was pretty like easy for me. I actually like looked forward to that, little poetry season, and it didn't actually become rap until I I couldn't make some beats on this website I used to use, and
Okay.
so once like my computer was like going crazy. This was like back when like you actually had a monitor and like a brain and yeah, and all the whole shebang. So my joint was going crazy. So the only thing I could do was like open up my notes and write stuff. I was using it to like vent a little bit. So then I just ran with it. Didn't actually start physically doing the act of rapping until I hit junior year or my senior year in high school. So and I can never freestyle. I was always prefer writing.
Okay. So yeah, that was gonna be my follow up. So were you more of write a writer, or were you a freestyler? But you you went ahead and answered that for me.
Yeah, I always and I'm always gonna prefer writing because I feel like it's a way to challenge yourself. A lot of people in the current space of music, whatever, they're trying to find every way to sidestep the process. A lot of people think they're Jay-Z or Wayne, so where they could just walk in and freestyle a song, and you know they're just trying to find a way to cut very important parts of the process out, and they're afraid to challenge themselves. And I like the experience or the process of writing. It helps me see a little clearer.
All right, all right. Now for the viewers, if you guys have any questions, you guys could drop it in the chat, and go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel, and also subscribe to Rome Holman. Uh,
That's a
he
fact.
has,
I
yeah,
need the
he has,
subs.
he has really good music, and just go ahead and subscribe to Rome. So Rome, what do you think sets you apart from other hip hop artists, whether they're upcoming artists or uh, you know artists or rappers that are already rapping?
I believe I have unique takes, and that allows me to have somewhat of a fresh approach to certain concepts or certain like topics that get touched on like in a cliche way, like those staple topics in rap. I feel like me having unique takes allows me to have a different approach that sets me apart.
Facts, facts. And it's important to have your own takes, especially when everybody sounds the same in the music industry.
Yeah.
It's important to have your own sound, and that actually gets people will actually have something to remember you by.
Yeah.
Whenever you start growing, and I believe the same thing. Um, so that's a good thing. So, uh, what is your opinion on what happened in the Drake and Kendrick beef? Yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
was a
the juicy
landslide.
conversation.
It was actually great because everything was just it just all happened in like one night, kind of like if you was up, it was like a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh yeah,
We all knew Kendrick would win. Like
yeah.
we all knew that. Um, I do think it got a little catty in a way where it's like the whole I get it, you want to destroy your opponent's name and all that stuff. But when it's like, oh, you beat on your girl, blah blah blah,
Mm.
you're a pedo. That was funny. I mean,
PDF
oh,
allegedly.
PDF file allegedly.
Yeah, yeah,
If
allegedly.
if anything, there's footage of him being a almost or potential groomer. There's that. But you know, it was great. I didn't think it would happen like that though. I didn't think you would get a meet the grams or I
Oh
didn't think you
man.
would get that type of stuff. I think it was hilarious when Drake released the Heart Part Six.
uh,
That was like a
I don't even,
giant white flag.
dude. I didn't even think that was a diss. I
It
don't even
it
consider
wasn't.
that a
It was a
song.
tap out, where he's just
Yeah,
kind of like, and he's contradicting things. He's kind of like, oh, whoever is giving you your information, they're clowns. And then like 2 bars
yeah,
later, we gave you the information. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, what's
yeah.
going
He
on
called
here?
himself a clown, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say the battle. It's more interesting for me to think about what the battle would have been like 10 years ago when it was like at the height of it. After the Control verse, Drake was in his feelings about it, and Kendrick was ready. Everybody was ready, but apparently it just never
yeah,
happened. I think because they were different rappers back then, it would have been interesting to see.
for sure. To be honest with you, I think Drake, if he would have done it back then, he's never been a battle rapper, but I do think that it would have been a little bit more competitive,
Yeah,
considering Kendrick had the opportunity to take notes.
yeah, because
The
he
battle,
had somewhat of a leverage over Kendrick, just in the fact
yeah,
that he was like in it or seeing more success for like a few years over him. He I don't know. He wouldn't have won, but I'm just curious, like
yeah,
um as I spoke to you before about that, like I have so much more to say about Cole with
oh yeah,
everything that happened, like that was my guy. I spent a long time rooting for Cole, even when like in high school when Friday Night Lights was coming out, I'm trying to put people onto it, like, yo, check out Cole and all this stuff. And for me with Cole, I hated everything about the apology, right?
yeah,
Yes, it's mature and all that stuff, blah blah blah. But I think Cole did something that Kendrick would never do. Like, you know, Cole was trying to preserve friendship. He gaslit us a little bit with some of those
yeah.
tracks, but his whole thing is he's trying to preserve the brotherhood or the friendship. But Cole kind of killed his own momentum for Kendrick. Kendrick would never do that for Cole. So
Well, to me, I'm also a Cole fan. I was a fan of all of them at one point, but
yeah,
we'll talk about that at a different point. Um, but I do believe that if Cole, if it were to be a competitive battle,
Hmm.
like they said that it would, or if they would have kept it friendly, like Kendrick wanted, um, I believe that Cole would have actually stayed in the battle and he would have actually gone through with it. But
It would have been nice to see.
yeah, but talking about Cole, what do you think? Because a lot of people on this YouTube space, I will say that, um, they believe that Cole shouldn't go after rappers now that he did the apology. What do you think about that?
Um, I think there's like a tiny bit of wiggle room with that. So
Yeah,
his whole thing was I didn't want to go against my friends. So like Joey shot at Cole and Freddie Gibbs shot at Cole. I feel like it's fair game to kind of like light them up real quick, just to show you that, just to even drive that point further, where it's like I don't do this with my friends, but you, I'll I'll handle
yeah,
it accordingly, But if he's not going to do that, then maybe he should just chill on the whole. Well, actually, no, because I think where he's coming from with the whole, I kill rappers thing, I think he's speaking from his features. He's not really speaking from like a battle mano a mano kind of thing.
yeah.
Cole punching back. That's hilarious. He is. And I hate everything about it. But I think if he's if he, yeah, I do think he's coming from the space of features. That's what he's referring to when he says he kills rappers, which is not a lie. Maybe he should,
Lyrically,
yeah, maybe he should
if
repackage it a little bit, but he's not lying
yeah.
when he says that.
Now, lyrically, I do believe if it were a lyrical battle, I do think that Cole can destroy other rappers. But if it starts getting messy,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you might
but
you might see him just exit once it starts getting
yeah.
messy.
So a follow up question to the whole Drake versus Kendrick beef. Uh, what do you think of this lawsuit between Drake and UMG?
It's the most unhip hop thing. There's been a lot of that happening with this whole three-way, or like this fight for the generations, like with Cole apologizing and then Drake suing. Yeah, that's a fact. But Cole ain't gonna do it. But yeah, the whole lawsuit thing is messy.
Yeah, it is.
It's like he just can't lose with he can't lose like a man. Like he's a sore loser. Like, dude, you lost. It's cool.
Facts.
You always lose anyway. Like you lose a lot. So like this ain't really no different. Um so I don't know why, whatever. This whole thing with the label, he really had a thing with the label, he should have sat the Kendrick thing out. He should have let that marinate and then come back when he was ready. And this whole conspiracy theory about them using Kendrick to get him out of it, like, dude, like, where does that go if Drake won?
And it wouldn't be a thing
It
if
wouldn't.
Drake won.
It wouldn't at all. And I noticed, like, not to double back, but that whole battle just showed me like where people are mentally a little bit, where it's like each side only wants to hold one side accountable. So, the whole PDF file thing, there's no proof, da 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 da, but they're completely ignoring that Drake is calling Kendrick a woman beater, but there's also no proof.
That's
So,
that's true.
so it's like, what's going on here? What's really
And
going on?
they're also ignoring the fact that Drake also tried to defame Kendrick, tried to defame his wife, tried
Yeah,
to defame his kids, his uncle.
yeah.
It's like it's like,
And
come on, man.
that's the door you opened, and then when you get the repercussions, you want to sue everybody. and then you want
Yeah.
to accuse people of using bots. And even if they did put bots on Kendrick, right?
And they did it for him too.
Exactly. There's no way Drake thinks that he wasn't getting bots.
And UMG can actually use that against Drake as well if he wants to go that route. And I think that's the reason why he decided to pull that part of the lawsuit out.
Mm. He knows. Like
Yeah,
he
he
knows.
knows.
Like
Yeah, he
just
knows.
he should have just took his L and just went on about his way. He even the whole party album collab, that was just an excuse because he was afraid to test the water on his own. You see how
Facts.
this Nokia song is sort of kind of blowing up. Party's not involved in that at all. Like
Yeah,
it was just he was just using his own artist, dude, like as a way to try and get back in the good graces, and it's kind of cowardly, low key.
it is. All right. So, for everybody in the chat, everybody that's watching, go ahead and if you guys want to ask Rome Holman any questions while we're doing the interview, we'll go ahead and read it after we're done with the questions and the interview process. All right. So, what direction do you see hip hop going after the beef?
Um, I think it's gonna be like a power struggle a little bit, because I've been seeing people accuse Kendrick of like making hip hop boring, and it's weird to me. It just shows that a lot of people prefer like escapism, kind of.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with themselves or deal with anything that's real. Like not everything that's real is happy or turn your brain off. I think it's actually gross. To me, it kind of was like the fight for the next generation, where people going to take lyricism seriously again, or are people just going to turn their brain off again for another 10, 15 years?
Yeah, to be honest with you, this music where it was just straight mumbling and like I understand in a club, I understand, keep that in the club, but like
Yeah,
if I'm trying to, study or if I'm trying to get like a better perspective and get like music with a with actual substance,
yeah,
it's hard to get that. It was hard to get that a couple years ago.
yeah. It
And
really was. It kind of like for somebody like me, it's almost a little discouraging, but it's almost like you got to figure out how to adapt. Where it's like finding that balance. I think everything needs balance. So okay, we want the mumbly stuff. Why are we playing that in the middle of the day and not at night when it's actually made for? Like it's made for the night scene. Why don't we play that then? And why don't we have something that's more suited for daytime? Like,
yeah,
where's the balance? And even in that, so the lyrical rappers need balance too.
yeah,
You can't just be a barbarian on every song every day of the
yeah,
week. Like that's not how you're gonna resonate. Or that worked before, but it's to the point where people want to know you before they,
yeah.
figure out your skill level, I guess. And
And
it's just balance
I'm
in
a
every lane.
that's true. I'm sorry to cut you off, dude.
That's fine.
So I do see there rappers like Ray Vaughn, where they're constantly giving stories and their backstories,
Yeah.
and they're giving you a perspective as how they grew up, and you know how do you see hip hop, that type of hip hop. Do you think that hip hop is coming back? Um,
I don't think it ever left. I just think maybe the palette for it is grown again.
yeah,
Um, that type. I feel like the internet has made it to the point where hip hop is whatever you want it to be. So it's like if you don't want to listen to the radio, you don't have to. You can go
That's a
find
fact.
whoever you find and structure, what your intake is that way. But I do think, I don't want to say radio is kind of like becoming important again, but the palette is growing again slightly. Like
Yeah.
people are tired of the num stuff, like yeah,
That.
like let's actually talk about something. And that's the duality thing to it, where it's like, okay, the storytelling is like very introspective, and it's heavy to a degree. It resonates. I'm feeling my way through that experience. Now, if I want to feel a different way, I'll switch to the microwave music, just like that kind of thing. But yeah, I do think the
Microwave music.
palette. Yo, I have
Yeah.
a song called like Microwave Era. Like it's real, like people don't care about legacy or longevity.
So I saw that Kevin Ortiz asked a question. I'm gonna go ahead and post it up. So he did some Googles and he checked your back catalog, and you really evolved as an artist over the years. Where do you see your sound evolving in the next album?
Kevin is a liar. He did not check my back catalog. He knows me. So, where do I see my sound evolving? I think since I did my last album, that was more like therapy for me. This next direction, I think I just want to make more ear candy in a way, where it's like, to me, I have fun trying to figure out how to like, make a solid hook or like create a melody. It keeps it fresh for me. I think there are times where I just want to rap and rap all day,
Yeah.
but I kind of want to get that out of my system and then go to like trying to develop like some just bops all over the place. Like I'm always gonna have the substance, but I really do need to challenge myself as far as like melodies and stuff like that. So
Okay. Okay.
basically, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So, as you know, Rome,
Yeah,
I found you during what I call Crash Out 2025.
yeah,
And what made you basically crash out and diss Joey?
yeah. I'll tell you for real, for real. I seen him in person like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I just came out the movie theater in downtown, like from 14th Street, and I seen him outside some restaurant. And once I recognized him, I'm like, oh shit, this Joey Badass. He fronted on me heavy. He fronted on me something crazy.
He, well, what'd he do? Tell the people what he
He
did. What
was
he
he
do?
was on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And he seen me see him. Man did a 360 spin.
Oh, oh,
Like I'm just supposed to disappear once
damn.
he. That really did happen, but that's not why I did it. So when he dropped the rulers back, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have any really like, I didn't think much of it. It's like, oh, Joey's back, I guess. Cool, you know. But then I seen this Read My Soul video. And he
Oh,
was,
hey, shout out to Read My Soul, man. That hey, if y'all don't know who Read My Soul is, y'all need to go check out Read My Soul. Very intellectual dude.
yeah,
Really intellectual dude. Not
yeah,
only for music, but shoes, for introspective things. Y'all need to check out Read My Soul. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry
yeah.
about
He's
that.
got some good stuff. So what I was watching was his opinion on the rulers back. And as I'm listening to it, I'm kind of like, yo, I agree with him. Like, where it's like the energy in New York isn't in New York anymore. Everybody's leaving. and just on some fan stuff, like Joey kind of isn't the guy to do what he's trying to do. Like the throne is vacant in New York, I guess, so it's fair game. But at the same time, it's like you have 3 albums and you've been out just as long as the people you're trying to position yourself next to.
Yeah.
Nah, like just as a fan, nah. So there's that. So as I'm listening to the remix, so I'm like, yo, I think this would be a good track. Like this would be a good like foundation for a response track, especially since I'm from New York too. So like it would make it one of the more unique responses where it's like you need to hear from home first. And yeah, I just took that approach where it's like, you know, there's a lot of crazy things going on in New York. Somebody around that time, somebody had lit a woman on fire on the train. Like
I did not know that.
yeah, it's like
Damn.
crazy stuff. But crazy stuff is happening everywhere. But it's like you worried about being a king and being all swaggy. It was like, where's the music for like what's going on here? Like where's
Yeah.
that at? He was doing that in like 2016, but like that ain't really him no more. So I
He turned
also,
Hollywood.
yeah, he started thinking he was actually unique. He's like he thought he was actually that character. So I also wanted to use him as like a talking point for like New York overall, where like it's a dirty game over here a little bit. You got known rappers that are scamming lesser known rappers, where it's like, oh, pay me X amount and I'll give you like a repost or I'll put you on some mixtape nobody's ever gonna see, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Then you got like the radio game, like how nasty that is. People are like for purchase in that game. Like there's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot to fix here first. Like there's a whole network of dope artists. Like why are a lot of us not really hitting through like or cutting through like that? So I feel like if you're the king, there's things to address home first before you try to round up a bunch of soldiers and like go against the West Coast. And it's
Yeah.
not even really the West Coast. You really want it with Kendrick, but you don't want to say Kendrick. And I believe it is Kendrick because the Sorry Not Sorry track.
Okay. For that, I know for a fact it's Kendrick
Oh yeah,
because this didn't stem just from right now. This happened 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago when the Control verse dropped.
yeah. He was one of the people that responded,
Yep.
and
It
that
was
one
him,
it
Jay
wasn't great,
Electronica.
but it was a lot of people. That that the Sorry Not Sorry track, right?
Yeah.
So me personally, I knew that there would be 3 tracks because once Sorry Not Sorry came out, I was kind of like, this feels like a bait, like not like a bait, but like it feels like a okey doke, like he's pulling the fast one. This doesn't feel
Yeah.
like the response. And in that song, he's like, the Cole line might delete later, Joey won't. So that to me, that confirms that he was going at Kendrick in the previous track
Yeah.
because we know Cole went at Kendrick and Cole deleted it. So
Yeah.
if you're using that as a reference, to me, that confirms that you were going for Kendrick. So I'm like, I was ready to let it go, honestly. Once the Sorry Not Sorry thing happened, I felt like I made my statement, and that was that. And it's funny because Kevin Ali, he felt attacked by the same lines I felt attacked by.
Yeah.
So
Shout out to Kevin. Shout out
yeah.
to Kevin.
So to me, that third track, that Part of Me track, right, with those Jay-Z lines. So I know what your aim is, shoot me, all that stuff. To me, that was a response to everybody that was lesser known that responded to him.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a million responses to Joey, like the Kendrick control thing. There was a million control responses. Even I did a control response. So
Oh wow.
like,
I need
yeah,
to hear that.
no, nobody will ever hear that. That was messy. So there was. I know that Joey listened to all of them. So
Oh yeah, that's a fact. You know that he had his ear
yeah,
he had his ear to the game,
yeah,
and
he was
you
listening,
saw it. Yeah, you saw it.
and
And
that's why he changed his attitude, started playing victim a little bit, or 20v1,
yeah,
all this nonsense. So once I heard those lines, I'm like, this is the closest thing to a response I'm gonna get, and
yeah,
to me, it's go time. So I just took that chance where it's like the first one was like a critical artistic decision.
yeah.
The second one was no, I could battle too, and I would love to just show you that I could look at how I could do somebody like Joey. Like that's what that was for me. Like just to show like I could really rap. You know, I don't really expect nothing else out of it. I don't really care for it. I know that how people find you is kind of how they see you. So
Yeah,
uh, it's like I got to be on to the next. I don't want to just be that battle dude or the diss dude. It was fun. It was interesting, but
it's on to the
next.
next.
Yeah, pretty much.
Facts. Now, this is a follow up to that question. Did you think Kendrick would ever respond to Joey?
No, and if he does, it's not the way Joey might want.
Mm,
Um, it might be like a J
subtle.
Electronica kind of thing, where it's like basically yeah, because with J Electronica, Absol stepped in and
Mm,
addressed Jay Electronica when Jay was dissing Kendrick real passive aggressively.
yeah,
So and with the Joey thing, Rayvon and Daylight stepped in. So
yeah.
I think it's the same way. He might make a comment about it, but it's gonna be so vague in general that it's not even gonna matter. You know. So Joey's not gonna get what he wants.
All right. And last question, man, before we get to um, before we go and react live to your latest album, what are your top five artists in your opinion?
Okay. I'm gonna speak from like a favorite standpoint.
Okay.
Uh, Number one is Lupe Fiasco. Um, that's the guy to me. Number two is Cole. Number three, number three was Royce until Royce and Lupe battled. Kind of ruined it for me.
Mm.
Um, I'm gonna say
Man, Royce is
Nas.
for me. Royce is up here, man, because to
Yeah,
me, Slaughterhouse is one group, and I put Slaughterhouse up there.
yeah. I was a big Slaughterhouse fan too, man. Really disappointed with how all that turned out.
Yeah,
And the Prime albums with Royce and Premier, like, yeah, Royce was like somebody I would go to for like just rhyming, like rhyme patterns and seeing what I could do. Yeah, but the Lupe thing, it kind of made him look a
it
little
threw
weird
you
to
off.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I gotta throw Nas in there. Nas is just vintage. Nas is classic.
he's
Um,
one of the goats.
yeah, four I would say would be Kendrick, and five. See, I almost want to say either Sarok or Boss, but Sarok had a really great album in like 2020, but she kind of just fell back a little bit. So it's like I need more before I can be like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, she's one of my favorites. But she's great. So I guess I'll just say Boss from Dreamville. Like I really enjoy Boss's music, and he's kind of like a influence to me in sense of how you could really rap, but you could also find a melody and have some decent vocals. That's what I look to him for. So I guess I'd say Boss.